All right, everyone. So for most bloggers, the summertime usually means a summer slump for bloggers, right? When I first started Twins Mommy back in the day, this is from 2017, I had the summer slump, right? Maybe because I was blogging about bloggers. And when I wrote this, I knew about the summer slump because for the topics that I was blogging about, no one wants to learn about starting a blog in July or August. They are out suntanning or having parties or focusing on baseball like I am right now with my twins, right? I'm out every week, almost every other day. I'm out for 6 hours watching baseball or softball. So I knew at that time that that was a big thing in the blogging world. I even wrote about it here. I was growing my blog and I wanted to beat this summer slump. My blog was growing very slowly during this time, mostly because of the topics that I was writing about. I didn't realize it at the time. I was still growing a massive audience. So that helped me, and my email list helped me grow this blog, I think at one point up to 70,000 page views. I was pleasantly surprised when I was preparing myself for this summer dip, but I found that my blogs were actually spiking. They were actually growing during this time, and I need to capitalize on this. So much so that one of my sites that I sort of decided I don't have enough time or I want to pay a writer to even focus on this when it wasn't really growing, even that blog started to grow. So I'm going to go through these sites. I might create separate videos on certain sites that I wanted to focus on, but I do want to focus on most of the niche sites that I've mentioned in previous videos. I'm going to try and coordinate them appropriately. So let's go through first one, just my Twins Mommy. I have told you in other videos that, my plan for Twins Mommy was to stop relying on SEO keywords and start relying on Pinterest. And in order for me to rely on Pinterest, I had to pivot my blog to focus on Pinterest topics like, let's see what I have here. I have arts and crafting ideas here. I have decor ideas here. The only thing I don't have here are food ideas, which, I may toy around with that, but at this point, I'm happy with this. As you notice, I haven't even blogged on this site since March, and it is June that I'm filming this video. So I'm not really focusing on this blog because, again, my attention has been elsewhere on my other sites. It is quite hard for me to really focus on either or. I am focusing more on email with this list. Since I have a good email list of subscribers, dedicated subscribers, I'm going to focus on that. And I have, built out my email funnels or my email campaigns or my email newsletters for the entire summer. I have that to help me just nurture this blog. So when I'm ready, I can go back and blog again on this blog. But I'm happy with the results that I have right now. So let's take a look at that. So as you can see here, for Twins Mommy, it's pretty stable at around, it looks like between 30 and 35,000 views. It's up actually in views, but down in everything else. But like I said, I haven't blogged on this. I haven't pinned on this. I haven't checked my automation tool to see if it's run out, but I'm not too quick to just add to it. My plan for this blog is, like I said, when I have the time, I might, transcribe YouTube videos so I can at least have some blog content. But again, it's more blogging related, and that doesn't do so well for traffic, but it might do well for my email audience, perhaps. So I'm just sort of like, I have a good established blog here for years. It has a good Pinterest hold. The people on Pinterest like the pins that I have, and they're coming to the blog, and my email subscribers are coming to my blog, and even on YouTube. So this is okay for me. I'm glad that I do see some green. So like I said, in the summer, I wasn't expecting a little bit of a spike, but it'll motivate me to get some content published on this site. Now, for the Pinterest analytics, for some reason, when I go to analytics, it's not showing. I don't know what it is. For some reason, I have problems viewing my analytics on Pinterest for this particular site, but not for my other sites. But I know that my impressions are over 1 million. So I have that. And then I'm sure the click-through rates are similar to what I have here. The next site that we're going to look at is my primary niche site. This is the one that I started, I believe, in 2021. I wanted to do SEO and affiliate marketing like the traditional niche sites that I saw from other SEO people. That didn't do too well. I mean, it grew, but it didn't do too well until I started adopting what I am doing now with Pinterest and that I have laid out in my course, Pin and Win. So because of that, I started growing. And I'm happy to tell you that I have reached the threshold of 100,000 page views. It's actually at 101. So it is really taking off this summer. So let's take a look at what we have. So you can see here it's at 101,000 views, 85,000 sessions, an uptick in new users. So I'm happy with this so far. I thought I would reach this a lot sooner than June. I thought it would be more closer to January, February, March. But nonetheless, I'm very ecstatic for this. I'll probably do a separate video to see how much money it's made. I haven't actually checked. Since it goes through sessions, I don't think it's a wild jump quite yet. Maybe if I get a boost in sessions, I'll get that boost of income. That's what's happening. It looks pretty stable. It is slowly going up. So, I'm focusing, especially with my new Pinterest strategy, with topics that pinners like. Those are things that are summer based. They're trend worthy in the summer. If you start tackling those trend worthy topics, you'll get traffic. If I go to Twins Mommy and start doing summer desk ideas or summer craft decor ideas for summer or whatever, and focus and use that keyword for summer, then I'm bound to get some traffic. And that's what I'm doing with this blog. I'm solely focused on those topics. So I have that. Let's look at the Pinterest. I have the analytics for that. So you can see here, everything is on the up and up. I'm at 4.45 million impressions. I'm at 85,000 outbound clicks. My saves have gone up. My audience has gone up. So I am happy with that. Everything seems pretty stable now. Like I said, this blog is quite old. I've had it on Pinterest for many years, so it's nice to see that it's continuing to grow. Now, I'm going to try and do this in the order that I presented these sites in other videos. Niche site, my main one, and then the first one that I created, and then the second one and the third one. So the second one is the one where I have a video of how I went from 0, I think, to 45,000 page views in like a month. That site is one that I haven't paid too much attention to it. I didn't really create content in January, February, March. Well, I did a little bit in April, I think, and then April or May, and then I moved on to summer stuff now. So I did a little bit of spring stuff on that blog, because it is trending. It is a seasonal blog that can capitalize on spring stuff and summer stuff and holiday, winter stuff. I sort of did that, but I didn't blog on that much. I didn't use Pinterest on that profile much. I didn't really do much. I sort of set it and forget it. I have it on an automation tool, so I just made sure to replenish that and left it. Again, I wasn't expecting it to go too much down in the summer, but when you target these big holidays, you do see a little bit of a slump. Although this blog didn't really target holidays and was more seasonal. It's starting to grow. So let's look at that. So you can see here it's at 74,000. It's gone up almost 50%. So like I said, it just has this natural spike. So I do believe, since I started this site last year around this time, maybe in May, June, that I did get immediate traffic boost in the next coming months. I am seeing that again. So I'm happy with that. So I just need to make sure that I am peppering the blog with certain topics that I know will get pinners to come to the blog. Since I can use what worked last year and write similar content this year, and then look at pin clicks. Pin clicks gives me a snapshot of what's happening right now when I search certain keywords within this niche. Because of that, I'm seeing incredible growth now. So I'm very happy with that. And I'll do a separate video on how much money I'm making with this site, since this was the first site that went into Mediavine, or Journey by Mediavine. Let's look at the Pinterest analytics. All right, so here it is. It's at 4.27 million impressions and 47,000 outbound clicks, with everything on the up and up right now. So I'm seeing an uptick in, this is under impressions. So like I said, this site now is starting to take off. So I need to pay more attention to this site. Like I said, I sort of blogged here and there, didn't really publish any posts on that site. So now I'm going to be a little bit more consistent on that. All right, let's look at the second site. Now this one is okay. It's sort of stable. It wasn't really moving much. I think I got a nice hit in the like December 4th quarter, and then it sort of just trailed along up until I think now it's starting to take off. So let's look at that one. You can see here it's at 50,000 views, 38,000 sessions. So things are on the up and up. But you can see here, I mean, these dots I think are just like high points. I had a low point. I mean, it wasn't really doing much until I started capitalizing, or until my audience started, I don't know, Pinterest started showing more of my like seasonal content and not sort of like the holiday content, I guess. Because on this site, I can do like more holiday stuff that's focused. But for this particular site, I did that, but I also blogged about summer stuff. So because I think I did that, I started to get an increase in the summer stuff, not so much on the holiday stuff. So I sort of buffered my own blog that way. And so for my other sites, it didn't always work out that way. I wasn't always getting the increase that way. So I don't know how this site, because I was blogging about those two things, I was able to get an increase in traffic, whereas my other sites, I really wasn't. And I'll show you those other sites. Maybe because they're newer. I probably because they're newer. That's why. Anyway, so this site is doing good. Let's look at the analytics. So the Pinterest analytics, I am seeing an uptick in certain things here. I couldn't take a screenshot of everything here, but overall, I'm happy with the growth. I mean, it's a little bit wild here, but that's expected for, a site that has these, that I, blog about holiday stuff, and it takes off and then it doesn't, kind of thing. So that's good. And like I said, I will do a separate video because this site is also monetized. So we can look at that at another video. Now, the next site I also started around the same time, but in another video, I talked about this site, how I'm sort of giving up on this site because even though it's sort of a popular Pinterest topic, it's like on the bottom of the list of popular Pinterest topics. So it just wasn't working. I was getting, stable traffic for a while, like 4,000 or 5,000 page views, but then it wasn't really doing anything. It wasn't moving. I thought maybe the holidays would bump it up, and it did a little bit, but then it didn't do anything. So it wasn't worth it. It wasn't monetized. It wasn't worth it to hire a writer to write that stuff. It wasn't worth it for waste my time when I had other sites that were monetized. So I didn't do anything. I put it into a scheduler and then I just let it run out and didn't touch it. I didn't update the scheduler. I just let it be. And lo and behold, this site started to grow. There you go. The very minimal summer content that I had on that site is taking off, or the holiday content I had on the site is taking off. So I wrote that a long time ago and then just stopped pinning it into anything on that profile. So you can see here, it's up 34%, 17,000 views and 16,000 sessions. This site can now be monetized. So I'm happy with that. So now we can get this in. I believe I'm going to use a Zoic for this one. So we can, I want to diversify my ad platforms. So I want to see how this goes with a Zoic. So I'm looking forward to this site that it's starting to take off. Now, because of that, now I can schedule it in with Pin Generator. I can now focus on getting a writer to write on this once it's monetized and I can get it going. So I'm happy with this. I can do a separate video on this and on my thoughts on, how this came to be and what my plan is now overall for this site. But we can look at the Pinterest analytics. So everything is on the up and up. Things are going up. Impressions are going up. Engagement, clicks, all of that is going up. Those are good signs for me now to capitalize on this and leverage this growth with more topics, more potential growth, and scale this. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Now let's look at the site where I had to pivot my blog. I had a parenting motherhood blog. I really focused on SEO. I think I had like 400 blog posts, and it tanked after the helpful content update. It just wasn't doing anything. So I thought, well, let me pivot. Let me start a new site, since new sites are taking off on Pinterest now. I've been noticing that in the last year. So if I start a new site and focus, now that I have pin clicks and that I have an idea of trending and seasonal content ideas, I can just focus on the most popular seasonal and trending content on that site. Let's take a look at that. So as you can see, not a lot going on with this site. I really have dropped the ball on this site, but I mean, it is somewhat alive. I've now put this into a scheduler so that at least it's getting pinned, and that is helping. But you know, this spike is probably due to Memorial Day or something. So yeah, that's what's happening. I seem to have the hardest with these parenting sites. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Maybe it's oversaturated. I don't know. Maybe it's the pin design. This side I also am using the longer pin, 1000 by 2000. Maybe that is what it is. Although maybe I changed. Because of that, I changed. I don't know. Like I said, this site, I really don't know what I'm doing. So let's look at the analytics for Pinterest. At least with Pinterest, I'm seeing a little bit of an uptick at the end here, but that could be for Memorial Day. I don't know. Everything is down here, but I'm going to pay attention to this site. It is a pivot site from the other content. I am using content ideas from that site, finding if find a better keyword for that and then writing about it. Yeah, maybe this site will just wait. Like it'll just wait until it takes off, until something happens. Maybe the next month it will take off. I don't know. I do have a lot of content that I pre-wrote that I wrote in spring for summer. So maybe that content will start to take off. So I'm going to pay attention to this site. It's also quite new. I started this year, I believe like February, March, April, something around there. And I did have problems initially with this Pinterest account. So that could be the reason why. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. We'll just see what ends up happening with that one. And then I have my newest site that started recently, probably in the last 2 months, and it's based on another site that's been popular on Pinterest. So I just started a similar site with the content focused a little bit niched down, and that is doing well. That site is also different because I have an email opt-in on that one. I am focusing on more like single ideas and roundups because of the whole listicle debacle with Mediavine. So I'm starting it a little bit in that vein, a little bit different. I also don't have this on a scheduler, so I'm also manually pinning. I'm on the Pinterest profile. I am pinning, so I'm doing things a little bit different. And that site, I believe in another video I told you that I started group boards to see if that made a difference. And it feels like it is making a difference versus the site I just told you about and showed you about how little growth it is. This is even a newer site. And so it is seeing faster growth. So you can see here, it's up a lot. I really got a nice boom here for Memorial Day, and now it's gone down. So this is the summer slump that I was talking about. Like I'm seeing that, but I'm still happy that I got a lot of growth, and I do contribute that to group boards. Like I said, this is not in a scheduler. I am manually doing this. I'm not blogging a lot on this, more so than the previous site that I showed you that only had 21 sessions. And this, like I said, this topic is more popular than I guess the topics that I have on that other blog. The other blog is more lifestyle. I have a variety of topics. That's probably the only blog, maybe. When I think of a parenthood blog, I think of a lifestyle blog, right? For a parenthood blog, you need to have different topics. That could be the reason why it's not growing so fast. I don't know. But like I said, this one's a bit more focused, more niched on a popular topic, and it is showing that it is growing a lot faster. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue the group boards to see if that really helps with this growth. And so for this is just to keep doing what I'm doing, is creating the content and manually pinning to group boards and to my own boards. We can look at the Pinterest analytics for this, and you can see, similar uptick around that time, and it's gone down. So about 4,000 clicks. This corresponds to my Google Analytics right now. Nothing different. Like I said, it is a new site that I started in April, I believe. So those are all my sites. Like I said, I was expecting a big summer slump, and some of the sites, there is a little bit of a drop off, but most of them are growing, and I'm very happy about that. Post your questions below if you have some questions about your blog traffic. Otherwise, make sure to check out my Pin and Win Pinterest marketing program. It will help you form your Pinterest strategy. Otherwise, you can also get my ebook. It's been recently updated with several different tactics that you can incorporate into your own strategy. All right, so take a look. Links are in my description below. Otherwise, give this video a like. Go ahead and view what it takes to grow a blog to 100,000 page views so that you can get the right tactics to start growing. You can watch that video next, and I'll see you